I am unashamed. What about you?
So welcome back to Unashamed. We're settling in here. We're sans Maddie. She went on a cruise this week with her husband.
She's on.
She earned a week off, which is a great blessing.
Gone.
Sometimes this is no country for old men on this podcast, so I understand why people have to get away, right? Which is
true.
It's actually unseasonably cool here.
Would
you agree?
I would agree. In fact, it was funny because when I got in last night, we've been in Idaho.
Oh wow!
And it was actually colder here than it was there, which is unusual.
Well, did you see our friends that were on the podcast?
No, because they're quite a bit north of where we were. But I did ask some people about that part of Idaho because they're almost in Canada. We were down in Boise, which is the southern part of the state.
Did they use the word remote?
They did. They were like, when I told them the story, they're like, well, first we get it. We understand why they escaped. But then at the same time, they said they escaped to a remote area. But the people that I met were amazing. Listen to this, Zach. It was a Christian school. They call it classical Christian. And it's kind of in the Hillsdale line of thinking, because Hillsdale's a college, doesn't take any money from the government. That's why this little Christian school is. And it's not super big because it's kind of out in the rural area, but they've been around since, guess when? 1908.
Oh, I thought you were going to
That's
say
a long time.
243.
No, 1908, 115 years the school's been there. And there was some people there, part of a 5-generation family that went to this Christian school. I mean, think about how impressive that is, that you're around that long. So we raised some money for them. They had an auctioneer there, and the auctioneer looked exactly like the guy, the Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank. You know what I'm talking about? The guy that wears the black suit. Yeah. He looked just like him. I mean, when I got up there, so they called me up, because I took a duck call that they auctioned off, and they also auctioned off a little dinner with Al and Lisa down here. And so they raised some money off even us being, you get in these auction deals and they pull you in. I didn't know about it till I got there, and they were like, what would you think about this? And I was like, it could be 3 frog hunts, Jay. So I felt a little better.
No, I proceed with caution.
Because but you get it, how it is. You get in the room and it gets exciting, and you kind of get into it. But they were great. They raised a lot of money for this school, and just salt of the earth. I've been to the West Coast now, I think 3 times in the last couple of months, and I have thoroughly enjoyed the people there.
Yeah.
They're amazing. So it was a really good trip. But it was cold when I got back.
I have fond memories of Idaho because Phil and I went on numerous duck hunts on the Snake River, and it's just absolutely stunning. And they're just ducks. They just light in the river.
I thought about you because we were walking down. There's a little river that's there in Boise. I can't remember the name of it. It wasn't Snake River because it was small. But I saw we took some pictures. I saw probably 40 or 50 mallards, and they were just chuckling around. They're feeding, and I guess because it's right there pretty near town. They were wild ducks, but they just, I guess, weren't afraid.
Well, exactly.
And then there was a bunch of Canadian geese, but I guess they don't even migrate, right? I mean, they just stay up there.
Well, yeah. I mean, they're getting to a point where they quit migrating.
Because I saw a lot of them. But
the full domestication process is underway with Canadian geese, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, it is.
You got to keep them wild, but that's a story for a different day.
So, Zach, you had, I noticed from Lisa was showing me on Facebook or something, you had an interesting weekend, huh?
Yeah, Max got engaged, my oldest son. So we had a big... He did. He's got him a woman that he's going to marry, Annabelle.
Is he over 18 years of age?
He's 20.
He is 20 now.
Yeah. He does have a boyish look about him.
Well, he's got him a little mustache now, so that helps him a little bit.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, we did that. So they came in. Ironically, he brought in his band. Him and Layla are in a band called Dasher the Band, which they're doing in Nashville, and they're making a run at it. And
is it Dasher or Dasher the Band?
Dasher the Band. That's
Is there a comma, or is it just a pause?
Just Dasher the Band.
Okay, it's just a pregnant pause.
I would have probably picked another one of the reindeer just to be kind of weird.
That's not why they didn't pick it because of the reindeer. They picked it because that's their last name. But yeah,
But
that's
see,
good advice. Though.
my immediate thought went
I think
to,
Prancer the van would be.
no,
would be
I
my
would have
choice.
just called.
Would you go with Prancer?
I'd have said the Rudolphs, and they're like
The Rudolphs.
Well, what is the story behind it? And they said, well, our last name's Dasher, but we didn't want to be too much on the nose, so we went with the Rudolphs.
On the nose. There you go. That's pretty good, Jay.
Well,
Jason's full
it's
of puns
interesting.
today.
They got a little band from Mia was here too, by the way. But they got a little band that they're doing. They're actually recording their first album with Lipscomb, the school they're at, as like they have a incubator label there that's working with them. So Max brings in the band, which the fiddle player is amazing, and she's from Idaho. So she's from South Idaho. So we had the same conversation because her and her sister came in. And they've got some land in South Idaho, and I think she said the Snake River goes right through their property.
Oh,
she mentioned that, Jase.
Oh,
so
well, I see a connection forming here.
I was thinking the same thing.
How far did the place go back? You said
1908.
1908. But if you could
So
find
maybe-
a place that went back pre-1900 and had the Snake River,
Oh yeah, because then you got a treasure hunt and a
I could treasure hunt and then
and a
hunt.
duck hunt.
But we
So
made
there were a
Max
lot
and-
of duck hunters.
Let's talk later, Zach. I'm gonna need.
I'll find out what I can
and
find out.
this is not the person he's marrying. This is the fiddle player.
No, this is the fiddle player. And so the way he set it up was they did this Kickstarter, and they're working with Brown Bannister, who did all of Amy Grant's albums. His daughter is Ellie Holcomb, Drew and Ellie Holcomb. If you listen to the Holcombs, so they got a really good guy that's kind of helping them out. So first thing you got to do, you're going to do a Kickstarter campaign. You're going to raise money to do your first album, which they did. It was successful. And so one of the things they do when you do Kickstarter is you have to give away things. And one of the things they gave away for if you gave a certain amount of money was a house show. So our friends gave some money so Annabelle thinks it's a house show. So Max comes in with the band. We had all of like our family and friends were all there. The church was there. A lot of people from our church. And then her family was there. And then so he's up there they're doing the thing. And then about the fourth song, he sang a song, something about and then he stopped before the last verse and said something about high school sweethearts. And he read somewhere that high school sweethearts had the best success rates. And he said, my high school sweetheart is here right over there, and points to Annabelle, and then asked her to come on stage. He said, I'm going to sing this last verse for you. I dedicate this one to you. Well, when she gets up there, he sings that song, the rest of the song, and then he does the proposal.
Oh, I thought he was going to sing, Will You Marry Me?
Well, I was wondering, did he sing it or did he ask it?
He asked.
Okay.
He got down on his knee and asked it, and of
What
course
was
he
her
said
reaction?
yes.
Was she truly surprised?
She was. I don't. You don't know. I mean, these days. I mean, how do you not know?
Because
I
they're
think
always
she's been.
produced now and staged. But it sounds like he did a pretty good subterfuge.
I think she didn't know it because I think she told us later, she said, I've been for the last 2 months, I've been thinking every time we get together, this is going to be the time. So she just comes prepared every single time. And this was the time when it actually happened. And it was so beautiful though. And they're going to make a wonderful couple.
Were
They both love
tears
Jesus.
shed, Zach? Were tears shed among the women?
Tears were shed.
Yeah.
Mama was crying. I even teared up. I teared up myself.
You're a softie. As you get older, the lower T, more crying.
Well, here's the
I get
question now. That's all great. We're all warm and fluffy. Who's doing the wedding?
In terms of who's going to preach it,
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I don't know.
Is there something
They haven't
else?
got that far yet. That's a good question. I don't know if they'll ask me or not. I'd rather not do it, but
Yeah.
Well, I have to say,
We'll see.
Zach, I love all your kids. They're amazing. Your children are amazing. I love each and every one for different reasons. But Max is my favorite because he's the only LSU fan out of the crew.
Yeah.
He got it. He got it from
got it.
his time in Louisiana. So he's all. I have to, and the rest of them know it. I send him LSU
you
stuff.
feel for them because they're like that song that I've been everywhere, so they
Johnny
all
Cash.
are different fans because their life has been a road trip.
he got
And,
corrupted. He got
Yeah.
corrupted.
No, he's the only-
Al bought him. He bought him a LSU shirt. And by the way, the shirts we're wearing, Poncho, they're a sponsor now. which I love these shirts. But they have one. Poncho makes a LSU shirt.
I know. That's why one of the things that really impressed me about the company.
Why didn't you get us those, Zach?
They sent me a Johnny Cash one because I decided that I've been everywhere, so I'm going all black today.
You
so,
did have a Johnny Cash look to you.
But they got but that's what
very
you did.
comfortable too, Zach. By the way, this is my first one to wear.
I've actually been wearing these for a long time, so I love these shirts. I wore them before they were a sponsor. So when they reached out and said, they sponsor Willie too, and they said. And they wanted to sponsor the podcast. I was like, yeah, I'd love to get some of these shirts. But what you've done is you corrupted him at an early age by giving him merch. That's what you did.
Well, it wasn't corruption. It was simply appreciation. I just thought since I knew his family was going to slight him because they're this whole mixed group of, they got everybody in the Florida, Alabama, they're all mixed up. But I knew this one child, this savant, was going to need some nourishment from outside the immediate family, and I thought, I'll be that guy. I'll be the cousin.
That would have been a better name for the band. They should have just named themselves SEC and just have representatives of all the state schools. That's what you're requiring.
Well, that is their family because they're all over the place.
It's like band/choir.
Yeah.
Because they're wonderful singers.
Yeah.
Which in these days, you don't have to necessarily be able to sing to be successful.
Oh, yeah. With the old auto-tuner.
Multiple examples of that.
Including one at this table.
Especially in the country
but
music.
They can sing. I'll give them that.
They can sing.
All right, so one of the things that really bugs me about T-shirts is how they get stretched out after you wear them a couple times. They get all out of form and whatnot, but I am super proud to wear the True Classic tee. Al, you've got one on right now. It looks
I am representing today, Zach, with my True Classic shirt. It's long sleeve because it's cool weather, but it fits me perfectly.
And Jase, you got a couple pair of jeans from the True Classic apparel that I think you rotate in just about every other day. So that's kind of in your repertoire now, right?
Yeah, it's only one. I just wear them a lot. But
they are awesome.
They are comfortable, and they look like jeans, but they're actually way better.
Yeah.
No, they don't feel like jeans. They're super comfortable. Well, True Classic, they make premium, comfortable shirts that don't cost a fortune. And clearly people agree because over 25 million shirts have been sold to more than 5 million customers. We're 3 of those customers right here. And they have over 200,000 5-star reviews. True Classic is all about fit, feel, and confidence. And the reason why is because they're tailored where you want them, relaxed where you need it, and effortless style that works in real life. That's what makes True Classic the go-to gift, and especially this time of year. And now everybody in the family can get it on the perfect fit and the comfort because they have new women's and kids collections available as well. So skip the guesswork and the overpriced designer stuff. Give comfort, give confidence, give True Classic. You can find them on Amazon, Target, Costco, Sam's Club, or you can just head on over to trueclassic.com/Robertson to grab the perfect gift for everyone on your list. That's trueclassic.com/Robertson.
They can see. It's like what you said about, I looked up Reed, is doing worship wasn't that with Max at your church?
Yeah. No, that was with Grant, my brother.
Huh?
That was with Grant.
That was my brother,
Yeah,
Grant.
with Grant, yeah. And you were like, well, I was surprised. I'm like, look, that dude wakes up singing, and you're like, wow. I mean, some people just got it.
Well, somebody told me they were watching the Dove Awards and saw Reed in the audience. Do you know if he was there? Do you know anything?
He was there.
Okay.
Yeah,
they saw him. They saw him on the broadcast. And I said, well, maybe he was doing something. I didn't know.
Yeah, he was there. He told me he was sitting right in the mix of all the people.
Yeah,
he was.
That's probably why he got on camera because they kept showing the ones, nominees and stuff.
Yeah,
I was looking it up. So they do have a little YouTube channel called Dasher, but they got some of their songs on there. You can check them out on there. But I think they're gonna. I mean, they're doing. They need to get Reed in there with them because Reed has one of the best tenor harmonies.
I'll agree with that.
I mean, that dude can flat out say, and Reed's a platinum artist because y'all. I guess you are too, Jase. You're a platinum.
Hey, I was on there. Don't downgrade me and my backup on those old
Were you
Christmas.
there on it?
I was on
we
two
sang
different
a couple of songs
like Christmas songs.
where we had
The whole family.
No, the whole thing was Christmas. But I'm saying we sang.
I'm saying old traditional songs is what a couple of those is what I participated in.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We it was like a choir.
Joy
in the
to the
background.
world. Yeah.
But
I was there. They had me low, but I was there.
Don't guess it, Zach. It's on the wall. When you go platinum,
baby.
they send you a little plaque thing. I'll take a picture. I'll tell you what. When I get home, I'll take a picture of it, and you can put it up because Missy put it on the wall. I wouldn't have done that, but because when people say, "You have a platinum album," I just point at Missy and say, "No, she does. I was just along for the ride."
That I will say this, y'all had. I don't know what happened to that thing. We need to resurrect it because that was a really, really good Christmas album.
It's excellent.
I know what happened, and I'm not going to discuss it here, but after a certain amount of time, you have to
to redo it. You have to add new stuff to it.
You have to add a couple new songs, and
maybe we could get Prancer to the band or Dasher the band to add some new songs.
No, I called Willie and said, "Hey, buddy." Because we're partners in that venture.
I knew that.
And so he said, "I'll get back to you on that." I think that was 2 years ago. But
I mean, I'm telling you, it was like really good. It was. Yeah. We still listen to it because I guess Jill bought it somehow. I don't know how you get it, but
Zach, you can pretty well with a couple of clicks. You can be playing the Christmas album. Right now.
And it was called. What was it called? Duck Commander Christmas.
I thought it was called Duck the Halls.
Duck the Hall. I have a platinum album, and I can't even remember.
I couldn't
the
either.
name
I couldn't remember what it was.
Yeah.
So, speaking of Willie, Lisa ran into him. He and Corey last night in the airport in Dallas. We were heading in from Idaho. They were coming from San Diego, and they had one of those stories where they were late, which is now very prevalent. By the time this airs, hopefully the government will be working again. But with this shutdown, it's affecting your times on the airplane because you just pull over like on the runway and wait an hour and a half because there can only be so many planes out of these hub cities.
Or you're like me, you hit a duck.
Or you hit a duck. And so Willie, same thing happened to him coming out of San Diego. And so he did he said he didn't run. What did he call it? He called it a run jog to get to the gate. And it was literally as he's walking up, the door closed.
Yeah.
Like literally. And then he said, he's like panting, and then Corey said, he was really breathing hard. And he said, he was like, "I'm here." And she said, "I just closed the flight." Like, oh no. And he said, this guy steps over and he's like, "Oh, I'll take care of y'all." Because then Willie thought, oh, he's going to reopen the door. And he books him on the late flight, which is the one we were on.
Yeah.
So we went up. The good thing was we had about an hour visit. And then Bella and Jacob, they come strolling up. They're coming from South Carolina. So it kind of was like y'all's little thing in Atlanta a few weeks ago. We just kind of
there was 24 of us that day.
Yeah, there were 6 of us last night.
Yeah, so that's crazy. I quit running because I had the same.
I don't run anymore. I'm just like, you know what? Whatever.
I had the same encounter. I ran. The door was open, and when I came up, she was like fixing to close it. She's like, "No, it's too late." I was like, "But the door's open."
Yeah.
And she said, "No." So I thought, well, okay. I said, that settles that.
Yep.
She's like, "Settles what?" I was like, "I'll never run again for another flight." Because technically, for the record, I made it. And then now you won't let me on because you'll have to do a couple of clicks to get me back seated.
yeah.
So that's it. No running.
Well, that's why I was saying that at my event this weekend. I was like, it's by God's grace we're here. Because air travel is bad enough at every level. Because trust me, I just been on a run across the country. And now you throw in this government issue that then affects things you can't, the air traffic controllers and all that. It was like, can we think of more ways to make air travel more miserable? And it's like, oh, yeah, we got hold my beer and watch this because there's one more we can do. And then we get into this. It's just, I don't know. It's bad.
Well, the moral of the story is if you see me running through the airport, you need to
see who's chasing you.
Yeah, you need to trip the guy chasing me because I have deemed that he's fixed to kill me. So
there you go.
Well,
that's exciting, Zach. I'm glad. Be sure and give our congratulations to Max. I'll send him a text today.
So every time you see him now, I was going to say every time you see him now, you can use my line. Love is in the air.
Well,
is
you
in
know
the
what's
air.
funny about it, though? I will say that the worlds kind of collide. I said this in previous podcast when I was at, Cole's wedding in Alabama, and I was just looking at how well y'all's kids have turned out. And then this weekend, Mia came in and stayed as well, Jase, and she was there at the house. We had so many people at the house. It was like Grand Central Station. But
I did not know Mia stayed with you. I cannot
oh
believe
yeah,
that.
she
And then
came
I talked
over.
to her.
And
And last week, Reed stayed with him because he pops up on the
Yeah.
podcast. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like
So we're-
Zach's like secretly trying to hire my family for something.
I would. Well, I'll tell you who I would partner with.
He's
in a
hired
heartbeat
by
is
one of my
Reed.
daughters.
If Reed wants to do anything with me, like I have Reed up here on. He's that's a sharp guy, man. He's super sharp. But I was sitting there and when I was watching Max, propose, and I was thankful. I was so thankful that they, Max and Layla both, my two oldest, they chose, the type of people that they chose to spend and Max is choosing to spend the rest of his life with are people who are unabashedly just proclaiming the kingship of Jesus, and I think that you have two married off as well, Jason, and that to me is that's what you pray for more than any other thing. You pray for the ones they're going to marry. So it was kind of a moment where you're like, you can take a little sigh of relief, a little breather. You still worry about stuff, but I mean, I am thankful that they're choosing people that love Jesus.
Jase, can you hear it? Sleigh bells ring. Are you listening?
Oh, Christmas time.
Christmas time is coming. Are you listening for the bells? We're singing because it's Christmas. We're always looking for gifts. And so today we want to talk about brave books. Can you think of a better gift to give people than brave books?
This truly is the gift that keeps on giving.
It is. And your lovely wife, Missy, is one of the authors. You've got her book there in your hands.
And look, I'm saying this. This is fantastic to read to kids. It's the gospel story in a little bitty book.
So look, these books are about helping parents raise strong families. They teach biblical values through powerful, faith-filled stories where kids can grab it. Each month, Brave sends out a new book that teaches lessons like courage, forgiveness, standing firm in your faith. Missy has a book. Jeff and Jessica have a book as well. So when you subscribe, you'll not only get a new book each month, plus Missy and Jeff and Jessica's book for free. So that's awesome. We got a great deal going right now. And as a bonus, you'll also get access to Brave Plus, which is their new streaming platform packed with safe, uplifting shows like Iggy and Mr. Kirk with our good friend Kirk Cameron. So we love these guys. We love what they're doing. We want you to check them out. Great gifts for Christmas this year. Visit bravebooks.com/unashamed to get this exclusive offer. Use the code unashamed for 20% off your order. That's bravebooks.com/unashamed. Raise them with truth. Raise them brave. And we talked about this a few episodes ago when we were talking about Cole's wedding, about that idea of marriage, and it is difficult. It is hard. I mean, it's a hard thing. We say that a lot on here, but there is a mindset and a standard, I think, that you try to do generationally to say it's better to be together always and work through whatever it is and deal with whatever it is. And so that you mentioned that stat about high school sweethearts, and there is something about growing in a marriage together that's powerful. And whether you start that in, super early in life or later in life, it doesn't matter. The starting point, it's like your Christian walk. It doesn't matter where you start. The idea is you got a mindset going in. And so I think, and Lisa and I have counseled many couples. We've gone through many difficult things, affairs, infidelity, many hard things. But you link back most times to kind of how they were raised. And when you come out of broken homes, it just becomes easier to walk away. But when you set the standard that we're going to do this together as a family, I just think it's better. And, our family track record has been great for that. And it doesn't mean you haven't struggled. I mean, Lisa and I have tantamount, so we get it.
Pat Benatar, I think, summed it up. Love is a battlefield.
But you got
Great feel. We had Tom Petty a couple weeks ago. Now we got Pat Benatar.
I don't know, for some reason, these songs are popping in my head. But, look,
That's
when
a
I
good one,
first heard that song, I thought, what is she talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, boy, after about 5 years of marriage, I thought, okay, Pat, I get it. Love is a battlefield. But when you actually read the definition of love, 1 Corinthians 13, it is a battlefield. Because none of those things can anyone do perfectly.
Yeah.
So, thus the battle.
Well, Jase, you don't know this story since you brought up Pat Benatar, but you were supposed to be on the Macy's parade float and I think it was probably duck season, but because it's in January, or no, it's in Thanksgiving. Yeah, Thanksgiving, and so I took your place.
No, I remember this coming up, Al.
Yeah.
I did know. My wife come in there and like, hey, Macy's parade,
and you said no.
Well, I just said I don't do parades. Was my first response. Then she said, I think I said, unless it's some kind of parade for Jesus. She's like, well, it's not that. So I said, well, no, I'm out. And she's like, no, this is opportunity, and all this. And then I said, when is it? And I was like, it's during duck season?
It's Thanksgiving Day.
Like, love is a battlefield, because I said, no, I won't be attending that.
So I took your spot, and I was excited to get to do it because Lisa and I watch it every so often. But we get on, so they have it's super cold, it's like 10 degrees, Thanksgiving Day in New York, and they put all the quote-unquote celebrities in these buses so you can stay warm until it's time to get on the float, because, it's fixing to be cold.
This sounds like fun.
Oh, it was not fun, but it was exciting. And we get on the bus. Of course, you're sharing it. They have just one bus for a few people. So there were some other people on there where Pat Benatar was on our bus.
Oh, wow. See, I would have had to say, let's just kick it off.
But here's what's funny, Jase. You're going to love this. So she's sitting in the very back, and we're in the very front. And then there was another group kind of in the middle. I don't know who they were. I didn't recognize they were Broadway or something. And so then we get word that Pat Benatar is not happy because she's having to share the bus with the Duck Dynasty people.
Oh, she didn't want to be with y'all.
She was not a fan.
Rejected by Pat Benatar.
And I was like,
Was
that hurt me because I love her music.
Was this during the time of cell phones?
It was, I guess, maybe.
See, I would have when I heard that, I think I would have tried a peace treaty, and I would have played.
That's a heartbreaker.
You should have played Love is a Battlefield, because this is it.
Well,
we love you.
We saw her back there, and I thought, would it be bad if we went back to get a picture, and then the person goes up and says, yeah, don't do that, because she's not happy about being on the bus with you.
Oh, that's hilarious.
You tell her it was a heartbreaker?
I told her that I love rock. I told her I love rock and roll. Put another dime in the jukebox.
No, I would have told her, hey, hit me with your best shot. Hit me with your best shot.
That was not Pat Benatar,
yeah, it
was it?
Put another dime in the jukebox. Of course it was.
Wait a minute.
Come on.
I love rock and roll. Put another dime in the jukebox, baby.
I may be wrong.
Didn't she do hit me with your best shot?
That's Joan Jett.
Oh, Joan Jett, sorry.
I was fixing to say.
Say, we don't even know who she is. That's what you should have said to her.
I should have said, is that Joan Jett back there?
Yeah. Joan, I'm a big fan.
Joan, I love your work. You're so awesome.
Well, I will say this.
Joan
You reminded me of a story, though, because, I'm a golfer.
Maybe it was Joan Jett on the bus. Now I can't remember.
I'm a golfer.
Well, if we're gonna rail her for rejecting you, we need to.
Jase is maybe unsure of myself.
Disclaimer. Do not hold it.
Benatar. It was
You're
Pat
sure
Benatar.
that's the one who rejected you?
I'm sure Pat Benatar rejected
I don't have
her.
my phone.
But Joan Jett,
my
I do like her stuff too.
I was going to send a text to Missy. She'd remember if Pat Benatar was on the back of the bus.
Yeah, because Missy was with us that day.
But I don't have my phone.
Okay.
But I was just going to tell her.
If I'm wrong, I'm sorry, Pat. If you're a listener.
Al,
accept my apology.
You've gone too far with this story. But I once got asked to play at the Masters by Bubba Watson. The Masters.
Not
course.
at the Masters. You mean Augusta?
Augusta, yeah.
Because they wouldn't let you in the Masters because you would be like a junior.
I mean, I didn't figure most people would know what Augusta, Georgia was, so I was going to say.
You said invite me to the Masters. I was like,
the course where they
must have been playing really good.
The Masters.
Yes, Augusta.
And I was like, awesome. I was so excited. I was like, yes. And so he's like, here's the date. Well, he sent the date. I looked on my phone. It's opening day of duck season.
Oh.
I said, immediately. I just sent him a text and said, no, I'm out. He's like, what? I was like, that's opening day of duck season. So appreciate it. But
now that's conviction.
Are there any other dates? And he's like, if you turn this down, I'm never asking you again.
Which is so Bubba Watson.
Yeah, and he didn't. So I missed it. I could have played, but I'm not missing opening day of duck season.
Well, Willie has played it.
Yeah, he has.
And when he has
more connections.
When he was on number 2, he said they came out in a golf cart and he had his bandana on and they had a hat and they gave him the hat and he said, "Oh, thank you." And they were like, "Sir, there's no bandana. It's head Augusta." In other words, Willie was like, "Oh, they came all the way out there to give me a hat." It was like, "No, wear this, please." So there you go.
I think that's enough nonsense for one day.
Right. Playing the role of Phil would be Jase.
You made it
today.
through that. You made it to the Bible study.
That's
so
exactly
congratulations.
right. We're glad you're
I
still
feel
here.
like I needed that because I've studied for 2 days. I actually looked up.
You said you were overstudied.
After a month and of just going every day somewhere. And the last couple of days, I went into a cave and studied for a couple of days. So it was actually kind of nice.
So we've made it to John 19, finally. We've kind of been, as you guys know from our study, we've kind of been given these high air views, I call them, 30,000-foot views of what all this means in terms of Old Testament, it being prophesied about. Because when you get into the weeds of what happened, it's a bleak happening. I mean, this is a rough slog of text.
It is.
Just because of the nature of it. I mean, just the abuse and everything that goes along with it.
It kind of hit me in that vein that, as much as I study with people, I've noticed it's kind of two opposite ends of people I study with. It's like people who are new to the faith. This is exciting. They just can't get enough.
Yeah.
Or on the other end, it's people who have been in different churches for so long, they're just frustrated with kind of the organizational, denominational view of what Christianity has become, in America. And so they get into other things that it's like the thrill of the simple story of Jesus is gone. It's kind of fascinating. I'm not sure why that is, but it just seems like over and over, because I've had a lot of Bible studies in the last couple of weeks, just one right after another. And I think when you get to this section of John, it's not about theology and doctrine. It just tells the story.
Yeah.
And we're connecting all the dots from what was prophesied and about the kingdom and this discussion with the king and about rulers, God against the gods, or this kind of spiritual forces of evil that Jesus was going to disarm. And it's just a story that you're just absolutely shocked by that this happened. Because as you read this, you're like, I mean, we believe it is the creator of the universe in human form, but people who are reading this for the first time, they're like, if this was the creator of the universe in human form, how embarrassing for what happens to him.
Exactly.
I mean, this is just absolutely crazy. But it made me think of, and I want to read this before we read John 19, because Jesus is dealing with these human authorities, people in power from the Jewish side and the Roman side here. But a verse that we bring up often, 1 Corinthians 2:7.
Wow, there's a reason why I am proud to say that Pure Talk is my wireless company. And the reason is that they don't just talk the talk. These guys walk the walk, especially when it comes to supporting our veteran community, which is super important to us.
Absolutely, Zach. I mean, since we've had a podcast, we've talked about what our veterans mean to us. We've had in our own family with our good old dear old Uncle Si, and these guys are right in line with what we love.
Well, yeah. In fact, this month they're supporting a nonprofit called Canines for Warriors. It's an incredible organization that rescues and trains dogs, and then they pair these dogs with veterans who are struggling with PTSD. You know, these are men and women who served our country with honor and faithfully, but a lot of times when they come home, they lose that brotherhood, that support network that they had in the military. It just disappears rapidly. So Canines for Warriors steps in to fill that gap, giving these heroes purpose, companionship, and healing. That's exactly why Pure Talk, a veteran-led company, supports them. And choosing a wireless company has never been easier. And with talk, text, and plenty of 5G data for just $25 a month, you could be supporting a worthy cause and saving a ton of money along the way. So go to puretalk.com/unashamed to make the switch today. I did it. It was super easy. Did it in as little as 10 minutes. Again, go to puretalk.com/unashamed and switch to America's wireless company, Pure Talk.
1 Corinthians 2:7, and I think you should keep this in mind as we read, or verse 6. We do, however, speak a message of wisdom among the mature. This is Paul to the Corinthians. But not the wisdom of this age or the rulers of this age who are coming to nothing. No, we speak of God's secret wisdom, a wisdom that has been hidden and that God destined for our glory before time began, which is exactly what his prayer referenced a couple times. Remember when Jesus said, I pray that I'll have the glory return that I had with you before the beginning of creation. But then watch verse 8. None of the rulers of this age understood it. For if they had, they would not have crucified the Lord of glory. Mm-hmm. And so this is right after Paul was making the point in chapter 2 and verse 2, because he was frustrated that some of the church in Corinth were following other people besides Jesus. Yeah. Which is kind of what I brought up about the denominational fragmentation of Christian church. You kind of see this similar thing. You get frustrated and you go follow somebody else. And
the danger there, Jase, is you do what a lot of the Corinthians were doing. So then you just tend to punt the whole situation.
Punt the whole thing.
You know, it's just, it ain't worth it. You know,
absolutely. And so I wanted to read that 1 Corinthians 2 because I think this really, it helped me in all the study I did the last 2 days. I just came back to the simple story of here's Jesus who did everything right. And this, you have multiple people slapping you in the face, making fun of you, dressing you mocking up as a king, and all this, acting like these leaders acting like he's just a peasant. He's crazy, and they have all the power to give you life or give you death. So look at 1 Corinthians 2:2. It says, "For I resolved to know nothing while I was with you, except Jesus Christ and Him crucified." I mean, it's such a statement that he's just going back to the simple story of what happened. Right. Of course, he goes on to say that famous statement about the rulers not understanding, because this was ultimately their defeat, as in the spiritual forces of evil having control and power, which was predicted many times. But I wanted to say that before we read, because you don't want to be distracted by, just because we're given the big picture of the simple story of how this happened.
Yeah. And I think it's the same thing. You could make the same case for him being born as a baby and then going through as a toddler and a young boy and then a teenager and all the way through his life. There was a purpose in that as well. He had to be fully human, so he lived a human life to be like his brothers in every way. Well, in this case, now he's about to die, but he's going to die a criminal's death, because that's what this was reserved for: criminals, insurgents, insurrectionists.
Yeah, and there were laws about this, and they were being violated, especially from the Jewish perspective. Right, they were applying the law, but then they were violating it. Even just having this thing happen at night and all this, there were little, verses in the Torah that negated some of their actions.
Oh, I think when I was researching that, Jase, they broke 18 of their own laws of the Sanhedrin, and just in how they processed this night before this is happening. So I mean, they were failing all over the place.
Which shows you there was a whole different agenda, and it was about power.
Yep.
He was a threat because people followed him,
Right.
and they wanted to take him out. I mean,
Right.
this is mafia hit.
Yeah.
But it's done from religious leaders.
Yeah.
I mean, it is literally the first, Godfather movie
Yeah.
is basically what's happening.
That's exactly right.
And what's crazy is this guy's not only innocent of the crimes, he's innocent of any crime.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's no crime committed, which is I always use this point in arguments, just with people who kind of have a system of law where they're not realizing that Jesus redeemed us from the law, not just from sin, but from the law itself, having to have some kind of code that you have to perform
Yeah.
and work your way to God, and always use that no one has ever kept the law. No adult
Yeah.
has kept the law
Yeah.
flawlessly.
Right.
And so you get into verses like James 2:10, where it's such an obscure verse, but it says, whoever keeps the whole law and yet stumbles at one point is guilty of breaking all of it.
Yeah.
And you're like, what does that mean? That means you cannot base your
Can't fix it.
salvation on keeping the law. That won't work. That's why
right.
Jesus came, and you can get into why that is, but just making the point. So then I think what happens is people come up with their own doctrines about this, and they're like, well, Jesus never sinned because he was God. Like somebody will come up with some kind of doctrine saying, well, Jesus maybe didn't become fully human.
Yeah.
And or vice versa. They're not realizing that, and they'll make points like, well, the only reason he never sinned because he was God. But he became a human. You have verses like Hebrews 4. He was tempted in every way, just as we are, yet was without sin.
Right.
Why is that in the Bible?
Right.
Why tempt him if he could not have sinned? He just chose not to. He fulfilled the law, became the faithful Israelite to redeem Israel and thus the whole world.
Well, it's the same thing that came up about, because when he resurrected, it's like, well, he didn't really die. I mean,
Same
he
thing.
passed
Yeah.
out, and then he woke up, and then all of a sudden he comes out. Which the interesting thing about that is, and we'll get to that when we get to the resurrection part of this text, is that John was there for all of it. Remember, John was at the foot of the cross with Mary. So
Well, and
he
there's a
saw
debate
him
on
die.
that too. It's like, why would they let? Because all women
Yeah.
and John.
Yeah.
Well, we assume
It was John,
if
right.
it's the disciple
Who Jesus loved.
is John, which it never exactly says that,
It
but we
doesn't.
assume it's John. So the scholars believe that it's because
He was
John was young.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I tend to
I do- I
agree
tend
because
to
he was
agree.
not a threat. So
Plus,
he
he's the
watched
younger brother. His older brother was the other fisherman.
So we're going to get to that because when John gets to the resurrection, he's like, hey, I was there.
Yeah.
I saw it.
That's what I'm saying.
yeah.
I think he witnessed the death, and then he witnessed the resurrection for a reason. So it's the same.
It is
thing.
hard. It is hard to put your mind around it because we want to err on one of the two sides of either Christ wasn't fully God or Christ wasn't fully man. And I think that's what we do wrestle with that. That is a hard thing to understand. But the biblical teaching is that Christ was the fullness of deity was pleased to dwell in bodily form. That's Paul's argument. Like the fullness of God was in the body of Jesus, but the body of Jesus was fully human. And so that Philippians 2 passage says it too, that he was in very nature God, but he didn't consider equality with God something to be grasped, but emptied himself. Doesn't mean he emptied himself of his divinity. He doesn't empty himself of his divinity. I think the language that Paul uses in Philippians 2 is helpful. It just says he takes on the nature of humanity. He takes on the
Which
nature of
means
a
he
servant.
became a human.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, he takes it on. He doesn't get rid of one. He just takes on the other, which is the word is like when you're condescending. That the old joke is I'm being condescending. That means I'm talking down to you. But it just means you're coming down to someone else's level. So God condescends in the Son. But in his divinity, he's still fully God. It's just in his incarnated state, in his fleshly state, there was limitations on Christ. And he says this. He says, I don't even know, only the Father knows when these things are going to take place. So showing his limitation in his flesh on omniscience. He was limited in his omnipresence in the flesh, meaning that Christ in body couldn't be in a lot of different places at the same time. He could only be in one place at one time. So I think that you're, and then ultimately you're seeing, though, what he's doing here. The reason why this matters is because of the moment we're at in John 19. I mean, he's going to become the lamb. He's going to become the Passover lamb. He's going to be slaughtered. He's going to let people not just get their hands on him. He's going to submit himself and become obedient to death on a cross, which will be the vindication or the payment for our sin, which will then be vindicated through the resurrection.
So Jase, Dad was, one of his famous sayings was, boys, I'm a low-tech man in a high-tech world.
Yeah. I mean, when he used to order duck stamps, he had to go back to post office days. And drive there and buy.
And wait in line to get the duck stamp, exactly.
Yeah.
And so now, of course, you can buy your duck stamp online, as Jase mentioned. You don't have to go stand in line at the post office anymore. You can actually do it in less than 2 minutes. Drops right into your Apple or Google wallet. And it even works when you're offline. Having it digital means you don't have to stress about losing that paper version in your glove box, in your waders, in your washing machine. It's always right there with you with your phone. So don't wait until you're halfway to the blind to remember this. Go ahead and take care of it now at duckstamp.com. And remember, these guys are all about conservation as well. So when you're spending money there, you're also continuing God's creation for future generations.
And not only conservation, but you're helping keeping the wilderness wild.
So digital and physical, they've got both at duckstamp.com/unashamed. It's so easy and it makes a big difference. That's duckstamp.com/unashamed. Go there, get yours today. Let me read it, this text in our last section of the podcast, and then we're going to get into it deeper on the next podcast, because in verse 5, I've already mentioned this before, N.T. Wright made a big deal out of verse 5 when Pilate says in proclamation, here is the man, as he's standing there and they've dressed him in this stuff, that was the recognition of Daniel, which we've talked about the Son of Man. But let me read it at least down to 16, and because this is kind of the last bit of the trial. I call it Trial of Pilate Part 2, because he's already sent him off, tried to punt the football. It hasn't happened. Now he winds up back with him again. So here's his next idea. We're just going to give him the half death, which is what's good, this idea of Roman flogging. Pilate took Jesus and had him flogged. So this was his answer to finally do something. He still didn't want to kill him, but he thought, well, if I just abuse him and flog him, then this will make this bloodthirsty crowd happy. The soldiers twisted together a crown of thorns, put it on his head. They clothed him in a purple robe and went up to him again and again, saying, Hail, King of the Jews! And they struck him in the face. So this is humiliation, and this is all part of the Romans and what they did. The idea was that we're going to humiliate you. We're going to make sure that you're in agony, all these things that are going to happen. Once more, Pilate came out. So now it's like, okay, look, I'm bringing him out to you to let you know I find no basis for a charge against him. Again, he cannot find wrongdoing in Jesus. When Jesus came out wearing the crown of thorns and the purple robe, Pilate said to them, here is the man. And N.T. Wright makes the point that, in Roman culture, they had all these statues of people that, all these emperors and all this, and this was kind of that moment from Pilate's perspective. As soon as the chief priests and their officials saw him, they shouted, Crucify, crucify. But Pilate answered, You take him and crucify him. As for me, I find no basis for a charge against him. The Jews insisted, We have a law, and according to the law, he must die, because he claimed to be the Son of God, which is interesting that they would go there. So you got the Son of Man, Son of God claims. When Pilate heard this, he was even more afraid. And we've talked about that, and we talked about his wife having the vision. And he went back inside the palace, and he says, Where do you come from? He asked Jesus. But Jesus gave him no answer. Do you refuse to speak to me? Pilate said. Don't you know I have power either to free you or to crucify you? And now Jesus is going to speak up. You would have no power over me if it were not given to you from above. Therefore, the one who handed me over to you is guilty of a greater sin, which talking about the Jews. From then on, Pilate tried to set Jesus free, but the Jews kept shouting, if you let this man go, you are no friend of Caesar. Anyone who claims to be a king opposes Caesar. When Pilate heard this, he brought Jesus out. He set him on the judge's seat at a place known as the Stone Pavement, which is Aramaic in Gabbatha. It was the day of preparation of Passover week, about the 6th hour. So this is time when they're slaughtering the lambs, which John throws that in for a reason, I think. Here is your king, Pilate said to the Jews, but they shouted, take him away, crucify him. Shall I crucify your king? Pilate asked. Jase, to your point, it's just incredulous, right? We have no king but Caesar, the chief priest answered, which think about that. I mean, what a blasphemy that is. Finally, Pilate handed him over to be crucified. So I'll stop there in terms of, this the last thing, finally Pilate, and then one of the texts we read, Jason, I think it's the Matthew text, he washes his hands at this point and says, this is on you. I'm washing my hands of this whole thing. And they said, oh, yeah, we'll take it. In fact, his blood is on us and our children.
I found something interesting. I don't know if I have time to do this right, but where it says, they put the crown of thorns, which is interesting in one way, is that the first appearance of thorns in the Bible is after sin.
Genesis
3,
and
it was a curse put on. And so here's now Jesus, who is launching what I would say is new creation. Mm-hmm. After what he's fixed to do happens, then that phrase starts coming up in the letters to the churches. If anyone is in Christ, 2 Corinthians 5, he is a new creation. Mm-hmm. The old is gone, the new has come. But also, when the way AI is so rapidly advancing, you can now just like type in, give me the Greek literal translation. It pops up there way better than what I was doing with the Bible Hub. I mean, it is just crazy. And so I was checking it out, and I was looking at some of these verses. And so this obscure verse where it says in John 19:8, where he's wearing the crown. Where's that? Is that in 8?
5.
Yeah, sorry, 18:5. When Jesus came out, 19:5. When Jesus came out wearing the crown of thorns and the purple robe, I forgot why I looked this verse up. Because I was looking into here's the man.
Yeah.
Because what a statement. Because immediately you go back to that. You go back to that in the beginning, was the Word, words with God, and the Word became flesh. So here's the man.
Yeah.
And which I think the opposite of that would be, the flesh didn't become Word. I mean, because we tend to, once again, look at all of this from a theological, we're studying this, and just think back to the closing moments here. He didn't kind of give them a philosophical speech on what he was fixing to do. He gave them a meal. Yeah. He washed their feet. Then he said a prayer. I mean, it's also practically human on what led up to this point. But what's crazy is I was looking up something else, but I saw that word wearing, and I just clicked on it for some unknown reason. And that word's only used 6 times, the Greek word. And what I discovered was fascinating when I went to 1 Corinthians 15, because 2 of the 6 times is mentioned there. I was telling Missy about this last night. I went in there, I was like, you're not going to believe what I found. And I went through what I want to go through, and I've introduced it, and I know we're going to run out of time. But in my mind, I thought, there's nothing about wearing in 1 Corinthians 15. I mean, there's a few chapters in the Bible that I know. Like, the whole chapter.
Yeah.
And 1 Corinthians 15 is one of them. I was like, nowhere in there did it talk about anything about wearing. I was thinking where, it says we must clothe when the perishable has clothed itself with the imperishable. So I was like, oh, that must be the clothes. No, that's not it.
Yeah.
So I want to read this, and when we come back to our next podcast, I'll show you what I discovered. But where that word is used is in verse 49. And the reason I didn't see it is because this is the only place where they don't put wear. Because when you look up the Greek word, which is phoreho, it can mean bear or wear. Because think about it, they put the crown on him.
Right.
So he would bear it, but he was also wearing it.
Right.
Even your clothes, you're bearing them. I
Yeah.
mean, if somebody gave you a shirt 3 times too big,
Yeah.
you would wear it, but you would also have to bear it because it's too big. That's kind of what the word means. What I found is fascinating, so I want to read this verse. In verse 48 and 49, as was the earthly man, so are those who are of the earth, and as is the man from heaven, so also are those are of heaven. And we're going to read around this when we come back.
Yeah.
And just as we have borne or wear the likeness of the earthly man, which we do bear this because we have problems, so shall we wear, it says bear, the likeness of the man from heaven. Oh yeah, it's going to be.
I like where you're going with that.
This is going to be good.
So here's your assignment before the next podcast. Go read 1 Corinthians 15 because that's where we're going to
Read the whole chapter.
Read the whole chapter, and that's where we're going to be. I like.
It's
where
one
this
of the
is going.
most exciting things I've ever
like it.
discovered randomly in quotation mark.
Random.
Because he wore the thorns, we get to wear his likeness, and trying to wrap your head around that is very exciting.
It's a recreation moment. All right, we'll get there next time on Unashamed.
Thanks for listening to the Unashamed podcast. Help us out by leaving a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And don't miss an episode by subscribing on YouTube. And be sure to click the little bell and choose all notifications to watch every episode.